Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, Chapter 11, Text 29. Tamevanvapi dhiyante lokabhuradayastrayaha nishayamanuvrutayam nirmukta shashibhaskaram.
When the night of Brahma ensues, all the three worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in the due course of an ordinary night.
Trilokyam dahyamanayam shaktya sankarshananagnina yantyushmanamaharlokat janam brugvadayorditaha.
The devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Sankarshana, and thus great sages like Bhrigu and other inhabitants of Maharloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of the blazing fire which rages through the three worlds below.
Tavat pribhuvanam sadhyaha kalpantaidita sindavaha प्लावयन्त्युत्कटाटोपा चण्डवातेरितोर्मयः.
At the beginning of the devastation, all the seas overflow, and hurricane winds blow very violently. Thus the waves of the seas become ferocious, and in no time at all the three worlds are full of water.
अन्तः स तस्मिन् सलिला आस्तेऽनन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रानिमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालयैः.
The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta, with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of Janaloka planets offer unto the Lord their glorious prayers with folded hands.
एवं विदैरहोरात्रै कालगत्योपलक्षितैः अपक्षितमिवास्यापि परमायुर्वयः शतम्.
Thus, the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets.
यदर्धमायुषस्तस्य परार्धमभिधीयते पूर्वः परार्धपक्रान्तो ह्यपरोऽद्य प्रवर्तते.
The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current.
पूर्वस्यादौ परार्धस्य ब्रह्मो नाम महानभूत् कल्पो यत्राभवद् ब्रह्मा शब्दब्रह्मेति यं विदुः.
In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahmakalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth.
तस्यैव चान्ते कल्पोऽभूत् यं पाद्ममभीक्षते यद्धरेर्नापि सरसा आसील्लोकसरोरुहम्.
The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padmakalpa, because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead, Hari.
अयं तु कथितः कल्पो द्वितीयस्यापि भारत वाराह इति विख्यातो यत्रासीच्छूकरो हरिः.
O descendant of Bharata, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium, because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation.
कालोऽयं द्विपरार्धाख्यो निमेष उपचर्यते अव्याकृतस्यानन्तस्य ह्यनादेर्जगदात्मनः.
The duration of the two parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 nimesha, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe.
कालोऽयं परमाण्वादी द्विपरार्दन्त ईश्वरः नैवेशितुं प्रभुर्भूम्ना ईश्वरो धाममानिनाम्.
Eternal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of the atom up to the superdivisions of the duration of Brahma's life, but nevertheless it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other higher planets of the universe.
विकारैः सहितो युक्तैर्विशेषादिभिरावृतः आण्डकोशो बहिरयं पञ्चशत्कोटिविसृतः.
This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories, within and without, as follows.
दशोत्तराधिकैर्यत्र प्रविष्टः परमाणुवत् लक्ष्यतेऽन्तर्गताश्चान्ये कोटिशो ह्यण्डराशयः.
The layers or elements covering the universe are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination.
तदाहुरक्षरं ब्रह्मा सर्वकारणकारणं विष्णोर्धाम परं साक्षात् पुरुषस्य महात्मनः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry if I have made any mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful recitation. Very nice. So, Jyoti Mataji, can I share my screen?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So, desktop 2. Yeah, let me know when you can see the screen.
We can see the screen.
Excellent. Great. So, we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Yam Pravrajantam Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Tara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayatayo Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. So we will be discussing verse 33 to 37 today from the 11th chapter of the 3rd canto. So let's start. Evam vidherho ratraihi kalagatyopalakshitaihi apakshitam ivasyapi parama yurvayah shatam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus, the process of exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets. Purport. Every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma. But although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of illusory energy. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility, but even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away their valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord. They live merrily, unafraid of impending death. This is the madness of human society. The madman has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible in preparing himself for the next life, even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. So let's go to the next verse. Yadardham आयुष्तस्य परार्धम् अभिधीयते पूर्वः परार्धो अपक्रांतो ह्य परोध्य प्रवर्तते. Translation: the 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current. So we have a very interesting essential verse from Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. We'll go to that a little later. So let's go to the next verse. Verse number 35. पूर्वास्यादौ परार्धस्य ब्राह्मो नाम महानभूत् कल्पो यत्रा भवद्ब्रह्मा शब्द ब्रह्मेति यं विदुः. Translation: in the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Lord Brahma's birth. According to Padma Puran, Prabhasa Khanda, in 30 days of Brahma, many kalpas take place, such as Varaha Kalpa and Pitra Kalpa. 30 days make 1 month of Brahma, beginning from the full moon to the disappearance of the moon. 12 such months complete 1 year, and 50 years complete 1 parardha, or 1/2 duration of the life of Brahma. The Shvetavara appearance of the Lord is the first birthday of Brahma. The birth date of Brahma is in the month of March, according to Hindu astronomical calculation. This statement is reproduced from the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Next verse. So we will be reading this 8.17 in a few minutes. Verse number 36. Tasyaiva chante kalpo bhud yam padma abhichakshate yadvairena bhira sarasa asil lokasaroruham. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as Padma Kalpa because in that millennium, the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead, Hari. Purport. The millennium following Brahmakalpa is known as Padmakalpa because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padmakalpa is also called the Pitrakalpa in certain Puranas. So, what does this tell us? So, as of now, the Vedic literature tells us there are 18 Puranas. 6 in mode of goodness, 6 in mode of passion, and 6 in mode of ignorance. Now, interesting bit here is Skanda Puran is considered to be in mode of ignorance, but still we will see in Srila Prabhupada's purports or in our Acharya's purports, there are a lot of quotes and references from Skanda Puran. What that means is, though the Puran gives an emphasis on the activities in mode of ignorance, but the same Puran is telling us the path of bhakti as well. So we should not be in a wrong assumption that Puran is influenced by mode of ignorance. That's not the case. It is the explanation of every mode of material nature and the activities related to that by certain empowered entities, and how that mode of material nature is used by those personalities, for example, Lord Shiva or his son Subramanyam or Kartikeyan, which helps the personalities or the entities in this material world to bring them towards path of bhakti. We will see that little in few minutes. So let's read the last verse for today, and then we will come to that. Ayam tu kathitaha kalpo dvitiyasyapi bharata varaha iti vikkhyato yatra sichhukaro harihi. Translation: O descendant of Bharata, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation. The different millenniums known as the Brahma, Padma, and Varaha Kalpas appear in a little puzzling for a layman. There are some scholars who think these kalpas to be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Brahma Kalpa in the beginning of the first half appears to be Padma Kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that present millennium is in the second half of the duration of the life of Brahma. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let's start our Mangala Charana and then we will start our discussions. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Janulambita Vujau Kanakavadhato Sankirtane Kapitaro Kamalaya विश्वम्भरो द्विजभरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो यन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूतां सञ्जीवयत्य अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणाश्रवणात्मगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् Hare Krishna. So in this we need to go back a little bit to get in the context of this particular section of this chapter. As earlier chapter, we have seen the importance of how the time is the main factor which impregnates in the whole creation. If it's everything is static, the wheel which actually brings life of the movement in this material world is time. So that wheel is Kala Chakra. Chakra means wheel, Kala means time. So unless and until the time enters in that chakra, nothing will move. And it is the same principle at the micro level as well. We can imagine that even in our own body, we have Ashta Chakra, 8 chakras, right? Starting from Muladhara Chakra and going up to Sahasrara Ajna Chakra and all that. So the energy, it goes through every chakra. Lord Brahma is also chakra. So how the Supreme Personality of Godhead has brought the time in the right dimension in the creation is Lord also enters in the different chakra of Lord Brahma, and then he utters different words, and that's how the whole creation starts moving. The energy is already there. Aparayamitastvanyam prakritim vidyame param. Jiva bhuta mahabhavo yedam dharyate jagat. Let's go to that verse. This is a very important verse. So, there is another superior energy. Yeah. Aparayam itastvanyam prakritim vidyame param. Jiva bhuta mahabhavo yedam dharyate jagat. Very, very important verse. This is. Besides this, O mighty armed Arjun, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises of living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So that means Lord is here talking, as you all know, that 7th chapter is the one when Krishna is explaining or he's revealing the about himself more and more. Till 6th chapter, he is talking more of the processes, the karma yoga and karma sannyas yoga, why renunciation is important, and the power of mind and all that. It's more of the primary creation. Lord mainly talks about till the 6th chapter. Of course, in 2nd chapter, he has given the basic foundation of that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul, body is just a covering, and everything he has given there. But the 3rd chapter onwards in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving the importance of the action and action in action in action in action and all that. But here, from the 7th chapter onwards, Lord is giving more of a very insightful details of the path of bhakti. Why he is the only object of worship for everyone, for all the human beings. and what is the reasoning behind it. So in a very amazing question answer session of the entire Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter onwards, Krishna is giving very, very intense, immense insight of that. And this is one of the verses Prabhupada quotes in his lectures time and again. And he says in Prabhupada's purport, he's saying, here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to superior energy. Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. What is Bahiranga Shakti? Which is the material energy. Apara Prakriti. Para Prakriti is Antaranga Shakti. That is the internal potency of the Lord. And then, who are the living entities who are not part of the internal potency energy, as well as not part of the external potential energy? They are somewhere in the middle. They are the Tatastha Shakti. The job of every living entity, as we have seen in the previous chapter, as Lord Brahma says, especially in the 9th chapter of this Srimad Bhagavatam, of the 3rd canto, that every living entity with all possible resources which are given by the Lord, shared opulence by the Lord himself, is supposed to use that, the Suvidha, and to worship the Lord, to perform this path of devotional service, perform this path of bhakti. And that is, we can see that here. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior energy of nature, or energy of the Supreme Lord. So what that means is, if we are connected or we are part of the superior energy, that means we are supposed to go back to that superior energy. The tendency of the living entities in the material world is to remain with the material energy, which is, as Prabhupada says in many of his lectures, that is incompatibility. The covering of the material covering is the incompatible part of the Tatastha Shakti and the Bahiranga Shakti. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material energy, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. So that in one of the lectures, Srila Prabhupada says that we are in this material world, every living entity has a tendency to play with something. And in one lecture, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj was giving a very beautiful analogy. It's like a bull. If we study the nature of a bull, bull has, unless and until the bull is directed to work properly, to get the work done, bull will do something, it will cause havoc. And that is why bull has to given, otherwise bull will, if the bull is tied to some area, the bull's mind, what does bull do? It regurgitates what it has eaten, the grass and everything, and starts chewing. In the same way, this mind, intelligence and false ego, it will try to do some kind of machination and use all the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, externally or internally. Internally is our body, externally is whatever is available around us. And then what to do with this? Now this 8 things what Srila Prabhupada is giving here, those 8 things are used for what? Our senses will focus on something how to gratify those senses by using all this combination of that. And then Srila Prabhupada says here, the living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Lord. So what is the superior energy? The living entity. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. Got it? So the time factor, what we are discussing in today's verses, is coming here, that as soon as that living entity gets the time, if the time gets impregnated in the whole creation, that the cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by superior energy, the living entity. How it will move? That is by the factor of time. Energies are always controlled by the energetic. And here, implicitly, what is very conspicuous here? Implicitly, it is said already. What is so conspicuous? What is that superior energy? Kalosmiham. And we will come to that verse in 11th chapter. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent main thing. The distinction between living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular verse. Aparimita Dhruvas. Let's go to the details of this, or the translation and the details what Prabhupada is giving us here. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living beings were eternal and all-pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. What verse is we can come back to from Bhagavad Gita here? Anyone? This is giving us a very clear understanding or clear direction to the verse from Bhagavad Gita. So what verse is that? Lord is the supreme controller. He is the Adhyaksha. He is the one who is controlling everything. So what verse is there? That. Mayadakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetumapnenu kaunteya jagadviparivartate. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. So, the tendency of the living entities to be a controller will get fulfilled when the living entity is situated, siddha, in their eternal constitutional position as the servant of the Supreme Lord. And then what they can control, how they want to serve the Supreme Lord. Obviously, when Srila Radhanath Maharaj gives a very insightful, wonderful explanation when he speaks about Vraja Leela of the Lord. He says that that power of love is so much that, especially the Damodar Leela, when Radhanath Maharaj talks about, he says that the supreme truth, the supreme controller, Sri Krishna himself, starts crying. He is feared. You can see that he is scared of his mother. Who? The Bhagwan. And in that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. So who is the controller there? Yashoda Mata is controlling the Supreme Lord. But that is the control out of love. Lord loves to be controlled because of that unconditional, unmotivated, uninterrupted continuous form of love. Mm. Srila Prabhupada says in one of the lectures that the gopis or the residents of Vrindavan, they are just not selfless, but they forget their own existence because of that intense love for the Lord. And let's go to the next statement here. Therefore, men with unlimited knowledge who advocate the monistic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by a faulty, polluted opinion. Just now we talked about Damodar Leela, and Prabhupada is giving the insight here. The men with limited knowledge. Now, if someone thinks that God and the living entities are at the same level, then there is no Leela. Then there is no beautiful, very sweet, loving exchange. So, if it is on the same platform, and that's why Srila Prabhupada says here, the Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. But at the same time, Srila Prabhupada is giving here that in that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. So, is that a contradiction? No. It is the sweetness. Apparently, yes, contradiction, but it is a sweet contradiction. It's something that because of that loving exchange, that loving, sweet, loving relationship, it is though the Lord is controller, but he arranges that sweetness in such a way that he loves to be controlled. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy, which is matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. This actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Now let's go back. I will close this. Let's go back to the today's verse. And here, Prabhupada, in this purport, he's saying, the madman means what? Just now we went through. The person who thinks that he's the body, he's under the influence of this material energy, has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. So if we go to the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, specifically 6th verse onwards, let's go there. The divine and demoniac nature. So, till 5th chapter, Lord gives mainly Krishna speaks about the good qualities. There is in the 4th verse, he's talking about the demoniac qualities. But before that, 1st to 3rd verse, that is the divine nature, the qualities of the devotees. And then he talks in the 5th chapter, those are what are conducive to liberation. These are all the qualities here. And 4th verse, demoniac qualities. make qualities make for bondage. Do not worry. So once His Holiness Devamrut Swami Maharaj was giving a class in Soho Street, and after it was very long back, I was sitting there after my uh, office work. I went to the temple and gave a very beautiful class on the some of the verses from second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, evening class. And someone asked, so Maharaj, to understand this, the contents, the summary properly, shall we be in the shoes of Arjun? And Maharaj had that very beautiful broad smile and he said, yes, of course, but are your feet good enough, pure enough, and suitable enough to enter in the shoes of Arjun? Is that a possibility? Can you do that? And that was such a powerful, amazing statement that this is the qualification. Do not worry, O son of Pandu. You are born with divine qualities. And that's what Maharaj's very profound statement was. He said that these are all the divine qualities a devotee should have. And then we can enter in the mood of Arjun and understand the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetah yachreyasam nishchitam ruhitam me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. That is the eagerness, that is the intensity of Arjun's request that now accept me as your disciple. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava. I am a miser. Who is saying this? Arjun. Look, the humility of Arjun. And then Lord accepts him, rebukes him, gives him a very, he uses very harsh words that you're talking like, you think that you are intelligent, but you're a fool. He says that, you're like a third gender. After that, Lord is giving this all insightful, amazing details of in Bhagavad Gita. From those verses onwards, and this is the 16th chapter. Now, if we check this, what are the demoniac qualities and how people are here? If we want to have more insightful details of those demoniac qualities, here it is from 7th chapter, 7th verse onwards. Those who are demoniac do not know that what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. The world is they say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced out of sex desire and has no cause other than lust, and so on and so forth. This all, most of the verses here are basically giving the the demoniac qualities of the people, especially in Kali Yuga. There is no shortage of the qualities which are described here. Very, very important chapter for introspection and for the improvements. Very essential for us to understand and work on the purification. I should talk for myself, not for anyone else, but that's what the amazing part of this chapter is. So we'll stop this. So there was one important verse. So we are talking about the time here, and Krishna talks about this time. Where is this? He says that Kalosmiyam, that's the verse. Kalosmi lokakshaya kut pravruddho lokan samahartumiha pravruttaha rite pitvam na bhavishyanti sarve yevasthitaha pratya nikeshi yodha. What is Lord saying here? 32nd verse from the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, Pandavas." Again, Devamrut Maharaj's statement that evening. Here again, to enter in that mood of who is Arjun, means what it should be, what the mood should be to understand what Lord is saying, Shrunutam Sakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanat. That all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Purport. What's the time? This is a very important purport, not too long. Can anyone read this? So I'm talking constantly. I want to hear someone else's voice.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, of course. Please do.
From where, Prabhuji? Although Arjun, should I read?
Yes, from here. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Although Arjun knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas, as stated in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.25. Yasya Brahma Chakstram Cha Ubehe Bhavata Odhana Mrityur Yashopashichinam Ka Ittha Veda Yatra Saha. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is the all devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all devouring time, except for a few Pandavas. Everyone who was present on the battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjun was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight. Then there would be no frustration. In reply, Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. If Arjun stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked. Even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful. So, again, where is the back reference of this particular verse we can find in Bhagavad Gita? Can anyone shed some light on this? Lord talks about the power of time, and he himself is time. Where is that? Where does he bring that discussion with Arjun? Who can shed some light on that? In the previous chapter, in the 10th chapter, what is the name of the 10th chapter? Vibhuti Yog. Vibhuti is the opulences of the Lord. And in the 10th chapter, Krishna is saying, I am everything. He is time, he is the creator, he is the destroyer, and he is giving very methodical details of what the creation is and how he is involved in everything. Especially after Chatushloki Gita, when Lord is giving all the details of the creations and how he is actually handling, who is the Supreme Personality behind all that beautiful craftsmanship of this material world, how he is, he brings that in the previous chapter. And that's why when he is giving Vishwarupa Darshan, which is the 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshan Yog, he's bringing this particular point here that yes, I am that time. Everything. 10th chapter gives mainly the focus on his ownership, his vibhuti, his opulences. But 11th chapter is giving that vivid details of by giving Arjun darshan of his universal form. And what that universal form is, it is basically the impregnation of time and how the movement is happening over the what do you call it, the passage of time. And that's why towards the end of this chapter, if we go to just 11th chapter, I think a lot of times when I discuss about any of this section of the of Bhagavatam, our sections, our sessions on Fridays, I come to this particular verse because this verse is so amazing. What Prabhupada says, therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And it's such a beautiful verse. It is such a powerful verse. Matkarma krunmat paramo madbhaktah sangavarjitah nirvairah sang sarvabhuteshu yah samameti pandava. What is the meaning? My dear Arjun, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. What that means is that earlier verse we checked, this one, Kalosmi, he's coming out of the clutches of time. Because there is no destruction, he says, I have come here to destroy people. When the person has gone back to Krishna, that means there is no influence of time there. And that's what Prabhupada's very profound statement, that this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. That means going out of that Kala Chakra, going out of that clutches of time. Very, very amazing dots, the way Prabhupada connects in his preaching mission. Something beyond I can even conceptualize, I can comprehend. Beautiful. So 8.17 was another verse we should be Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vidojanaha. Translation: by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also the duration of Brahma's night. So yes, I'm sure in our since this chapter started, or even before this, 10th chapter of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and 11th, we have been doing a lot of calculations. There is constant different numbers and the measurement of time and all that. Instead of 365 days, it is 360 days, and how that calculation takes place with the lunar calendar, Purnima and Amavasya, and that becomes a 1 month, 15 days, and we follow the Ekadashi in every 15-day cycle and all that. So this is all the whole calculation of Lord Brahma's life, and goes right up to the Pala to the Kharja and all that, the calculations of that, Pala to Kharja. So this is what the amazing purport Srila Prabhupada means, how genius Srila Prabhupada is, that he could easily write this purport, means effortlessly, with all the details. We can't be what you call grateful enough to Prabhupada for bringing us to this level of our understanding or being in touch with the Vedic literature in such a systematic, very institutionalized way. So that's what the second verse was. The third verse, there is not Pitrakalpa. Prabhasa Khanda is the Padma Puran, as far as my knowledge goes. Some of the copies of Padma Puran, when I went through some of the certain details of Padma Puran, according to some people, there are 74,000 verses. According to some explanations, there are 78,000 verses. Some people say 82 or 84,000. And that's mainly because of the composition of the verses. It's not that there is a change or the deletion or addition in Padma Puran. It's the way the presentation of that verses is. If you chant one verse by joining the two lines together and then chant another verse by joining the two lines together, that becomes one verse. The meaning doesn't change. The background and the reasoning of why we can chant verses in different compositions and different meters. That is as per the mood and the reasoning of the acharyas. So accordingly, the numbers change, but actual text never changes in our Vedic literature. Something inconceivable. So that's the Padma Puran. We can see very detailed explanations of Lord's Leela, as well as the creation, maintenance, and destruction details of this universe in Padma Puran. Once His Grace Harisauri Prabhu was giving class in one of the sanghas, and he revealed something amazing. He said that if Prabhupada had enough time, and if he would have finished all the missions he had, then few things he wanted to do is write another commentary on Bhagavad Gita, because the one we have, Bhagavad Gita as it is based on the commentary by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. He wanted to write another commentary on Bhagavad Gita with his own amazing inputs, but that was going to be based on Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarartha Darshini Tika. I think, yeah, Sarartha Darshini Tika, that's the name. So Prabhupada was going to write that. In a similar way, he was going to translate and write the purports on Padma Puran as well. But I think that must be part of the Lord's plan, that we are supposed to learn it. First, go through all these details, understand, and then we can get the elaborate details in Padma Puran. Like once someone was explaining that the Leelas from Srimad Bhagavatam are very elaborately explained and with different dimensions, maybe sometimes little bit of extra technicality in Padma Puran. For example, Bali Maharaj, when his Leela in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is elaborately explained in Padma Puran in such a way that we can get even more details of how Bali Maharaj is the real hero of that Leela. How Vamandev bestowed his mercy on Bali Maharaj and made him the hero of the entire Leela. But if we read this same Leela in other literatures which are not which are not bringing someone on the path of bhakti, that's where hero is Indra. If in some other literature, the main person there, the glorified personality, is sometimes Vamandev. But the Supreme Lord, Vamandev himself, when he delivers the Amala Puran like Bhagavatam, the person who is most glorified there is Bali Maharaj, because he is the personification of the Atmanivedan, the path of bhakti, and something wonderful to meditate on. Let's go to the next verse, which is 36, very small purport Srila Prabhupada has given here. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead Hari. So this 33 to 37 is basically the lifespan of Brahma. These verses and their details are giving us. So let's quickly go through, let's summarize what these verses are trying to tell us. So let me read about this. Thus, 33rd verse is telling us, thus days and nights pass even for Brahma, and his life also comes to an end. So every that atomic structure and the 6 items together, and that when the sunlight comes from the window, we can see that 6 items together. We all have gone through that part of earlier. So that measurement of time is something which is essential. In some of the lectures, Srila Radhanath Maharaj tells us that if those atoms are moving towards sun, that means why not we should also that should remind us that everything in this world is controlled by the Lord. But if we are not part of this world, then why not go towards the controller of the Lord, controller of this world, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So 33rd verse, thus days and nights pass even for Brahma, and his life also comes to an end. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in different planets. So interesting point, when I was going through this, it occurred to me that 100 years of lifespan is constant. Only the measurement of those 100 years, it changes for every kalpa, every millennium, every yuga. So even in Satya Yuga, if someone says that it was as per today's time, it was 100,000 years, but that 1,000, how the measurement of that time happened during Satya Yuga is also 100 years, but the actual time according to the current situation was 100,000 years. And in the same way, the measurement changes for every yuga. That's what this 33rd verse is telling us. 34th verse is Parardha, half of Brahma's life, 50 years. The first Parardha is already over, and the second has begun currently. So Brahma is in the middle age. We are part of that Parardha right now. And so 35th verse is Brahma Kalpa, the first day in the first Parardha of Brahma's life, also called Shweta Varaha Kalpa, during which Brahma is born along with the 4 Vedas. Now, what that means is the 4 Vedas and rest of the Vedic literature is given to this in this universe, and it is always there. It is not that if someone says who has not adequate understanding of the Vedic knowledge, they may say that yes, Vedas are only given, or the Vedanta philosophy is given only by Vyasadeva 5,000 years back, which is not true. Vedas are always there, as per the capacity, eligibility, and the desire of the living entities in different millenniums. Lord makes an arrangement to reveal the Vedic literature. So for somebody like us who have passed the first 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, as per our desire, Vedic literature will be revealed to us, and then we can go through, understand, and get pulled towards the path of bhakti. That's what the whole arrangement of this delivery of the Vedic knowledge is. So that's the Brahma Kalpa. 36th verse is Padma Kalpa. The next Kalpa, which followed the first Kalpa, in which the universal lotus comes from the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and 37th verse, which is Varaha Kalpa, the first day of the second Parardha of Brahma's life, during which Lord Hari appeared as boar. So that's what today's discussion is. There is it's very what you call calculations and technical, and sometimes it's a bit complex for all of us to comprehend how that happens, but it at least gives us an understanding of how wonderful, how magnanimous the Supreme Lord and his devotees are. And it's very humbling to read this literature, this Amala Puran, to read the translation and purport given by Srila Prabhupada and all our Acharyas' references is related to that. So this is something, an eye-opener for all of us to meditate on. So that's the last verse, Varaha Kalpa, we just quickly, briefly touched upon. And that was the 8.17. This one was, Kalos Niyam. And that is the 11.31. That's the Arjuna's request to the Lord, who you are. And then, as we just spoke about it, the magnanimity of the creation, the destruction, and how our bodies and our desires and our requirements are taken care of by the Lord himself. And as someone develops that closeness, that bhakti, Ananyascintayanto mam yejanam paryupasate, Lord makes sure that we will understand that he is the actually supreme provider of everything, so that the person will remain in the path of bhakti and go closer and closer and closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I will stop here. We have 6 minutes or 5.5 minutes to be more precise. Are there any questions or any additions or any comments? No questions, no comments? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Buddhakoti Vaishnavavrinda Jai. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was an amazing class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.